My name is Annie Hanley, and for my project I researched Cherokee neighborhood. So first we started on Doherty Ferry and we took that all the way up until you could take a right onto 270, and we kept going onto that until we took a left exit for 1B to I-55. After you've been on I-55 for a while, you're going to take a right onto Jefferson Street, and then on Jefferson Street you're going to turn right, and you're going to keep going straight until you hit Utah, and once you hit Utah Street you're going to make a right. Once you hit Utah Street, you're going to try to make a left onto California Avenue. It was during the 1890s that Cherokee Street began to assume any commercial importance, and this was due to the two lines of streetcars that met, which created an assembly point for any transferring streetcar passengers or anyone who just really wanted to shop there. So all these people that were meeting here really attracted merchants that wanted to make stores there, and that really marked the beginning of Cherokee Street Business District. Before it was a neighborhood, it was used for common ground at the end of a streetcar line, and a lot of the jobs were streetcar workers or railroad workers, and then when merchants came, then there was a lot of merchants there. Cherokee Street has been subject to some economic fluctuations over the years, but it has managed to survive better than some other urban shopping areas in St. Louis. It has an established residential area surrounding it and has continued to be a busy district for shoppers. The Cherokee neighborhood really runs from Jefferson Street to South Broadway, to Cherokee Street to Demin Plaza to Utah Street, and a part of Highway 55 all the way to Lynch Street. Brick paving was very popular for any up-and-coming cities that were occurring because it could easily soak up the water and put it into the sewage system or any other way to get it out of the streets more easily. Cherokee Street has something that's referred locally to as Antique Row or sometimes Cherokee Row, which spans from Cherokee Street to Jefferson to Lemp Avenues, and it really is just 6 blocks of independently owned and operated antique and collectible and specialty shops. As you walk up and down Antique Row, there's a self-guided tour that takes you about 200 years along the history of Antique Row. Every shop and restaurant that is on Antique Row is really someone's passion project, and you're pretty likely to meet the owners when you visit them and talk to them because they really do want to tell you about their history and their family history and how they really came across their shop and their passion. As you make your way all the way up to the very top of Cherokee Street, you'll get into the historic Lemp Cherokee district, and you'll come across the Lemp Mansion, the Lemp Brewery, and the DeMinno Mansion. The Lemp Mansion was built in the early 1860s and was bought by William J. Lemp as his home and as a secondary brewery office. It is said to be one of the 10 most haunted places in America, as it continues to play host to the tragic Lemp family. Over the years, the mansion has been transformed from the home for millionaires to an office space, decaying into a rundown boarding house, and finally restored to its current state as its fine dinner theater, restaurant, and bed and breakfast. A major thing that attracted the Lemps to start their brewery system here in St. Louis was the natural cave system that provided the perfect temperature for aging beer. Lemp was actually one of the first in the country to produce German beer, which was very different from the English and other beer in the area. So when Adam Lemp's beer became very popular due to the German increased population, the business got very successful, and when a large storage space became necessary, a cave in South St. Louis was used for its purpose as it provided natural refrigeration. When Adam Lemp passed away, William Lemp took over the business, and under William Lemp, the Western Brewery became the largest brewery in St. Louis, and then the largest outside of New York with a single owner. William began to brew and bottle the beer in the same facility to meet growing demand, which was rare at the time. In 1878, he installed the first refrigeration machine in an American brewery, and then extended it to the idea of refrigerated railroad cars, in its successful attempt to be the first beer in the United States within nation reach. Soon, Lemp beer was sold worldwide. The DeMille Mansion is a historic mansion that's a great example of the French heritage of St. Louis. The museum was once home to the famed Western guide and hunter Henry Chalaton and Dr. Nicholas N. DeMille and his wife Emily Sophie Chateau, the great-granddaughter of Auguste Chateau. The house serves as a house museum, and according to its nomination of the National Register of Historic Places, it's described as being the finest example of Greek Revival architecture in the Midwest. In the neighborhood and the streets that are located around Cherokee Street, they're all pretty much state names for their street names, which is pretty cool because most of the states are represented and all have a sign. As for the homes, they were pretty typical homes built for the working class neighborhoods in the 1880s. They were tall and narrow and has a popular mansard roof. Some of the entrances are on the side of the house to provide more privacy from the busy street, and it's typically made of brick and has arches over the windows. The St. Louis Casa Loma Ballroom, a landmark of entertainment in St. Louis for over 85 years, has provided a wide range of popular music and dancing. Frank Sinatra, the Dorseys, Billy Haley, and the Comments have all been there and have served the young and the young at heart of St. Louis. Currently, the ballroom features many great touring acts in addition to the area's best top-name bands, as well as receptions and private parties. The theater opened in 1914 and seated about 481 people. It opened as an independent theater and remained that way until its closing in the 1980s. It only had two owners and was one of the more successful of the neighborhood theaters. Even until its closing in 1979, the box office was inside the lobby when the tickets were on a large rolls hung above the cashier. In the early 1980s, merchants on the street were looking for one big thing to distinguish the area, and a member of the Cherokee business Cherokee Street is actually named the St. Louis Mexican food Mecca. It actually has a large concentration of Latino-owned and operated bakeries, restaurants, shops, and grocers. There's plenty of tequilerias that are located throughout the neighborhood, showcasing a localized styling of delicious Mexican food. I really didn't see more than a few other type of restaurants on Cherokee Street other than Mexican, and there was a lot of Mexican bakeries and actually a lot of Mexican antique shops and other shops like that that I really wouldn't expect to be there. But yeah, there was just a lot of Mexican restaurants, and the Mexican food was really good. I actually ate at one, got a chicken quesadilla. I can't complain. A big thing Cherokee is known for is the People's Joy Parade that occurs alongside the Cinco de Mayo celebration, and it's an expression of springtime celebration to honor the spirit of the community on Cherokee Street and the resourceful creations of local artists. A major festival that Cherokee Street is known for is the Cinco de Mayo celebration, which is the commemoration of Mexico's declaration of independence from Spain. The Cherokee Street and Latino Business Owners Association celebrates the national holiday of the Mexican Independence Day. The two-day annual festival brings Mexican and Mexican-American communities together as they celebrate the rich heritage, history, and culture of their Mexican ancestors who fought for their independence. It's typically a two-day festival, and with festival features live entertainment on 3 different stages with more than 15 bands performing throughout the day. I actually went to Cherokee Street twice, and the second day I went, there was a major Hispanic festival that was located there with shops and food and entertainment, like a band, and it was super crowded, and it only really took up half of Cherokee Street from about Pennsylvania Avenue to California Avenue, so the rest of the street, like the Lemp District, was pretty normal, but there was a bunch of shops and parade floats and pinatas and little vendors that were there that were just trying to make some money and spread the culture around. According to Sam Coffey, the fortune teller bar's owner, while preying off the Zapatero La Moda boards left over from the building's previous occupant, a Mexican bouderie, Coffey saw his fate spelled out before his eyes. He said the building's vintage facade revealed itself in 3 chunks. First, there was a drawing of a hand wielding a crystal ball, then the word fortune spelled out in antique black letters, and finally the teller bar. He said that he went from excitement to realizing that he has to open a bar, and at that point it wasn't up to him, that the building was speaking to him and telling him that you're opening this bar and that you don't have a choice. Bridge Bread is a social enterprise designed to provide jobs and opportunities for people who are homeless or who are about to be homeless. And it was really under the direction of Chef Alan Ramsey, the head chef, and the owners and a group of volunteers that made the first batch of bread on the 8th of September. And they said they sold it the next day at Lafayette Park United Methodist Church, and they've hired several workers since and several churches and distributors that were signed on board. There's 4 coffee bars located in the Cherokee neighborhood. It's the Mud House, Blank Space St. Louis, Foam, and Slump Coffee. So this cake was painted to reflect the beautiful Victorian ceiling mural of the Lemp Mansion and was placed here to reflect the important role that the Lemp family played in the introduction of lager beer to the Western Hemisphere, and just showing that Lemp is truly the father of the modern American brewery industry. This was the first ice cream or sweet shops to open up on Cherokee Street, and it just seemed fit that they put a cake there too. Overall, I really recommend going down to Cherokee Street and seeing all the stores and antique shops and history and all that stuff. But the only concerns the area had today were the vacant lots and some of the crime. But I obviously really liked it. I went there twice and I would definitely go again just to spend money and walk up and down the streets and check out the shops and see all the predominantly Hispanic culture there. Walking into the project, I had definitely very different expectations than what it really was and what it all it had to offer, and I was very surprised, and it was a good surprise, and I was very satisfied with the street and the culture and what I was really able to get out of my 2 days I spent there. And I would definitely go back to spend money and eat food and explore some more.